So my name is Dave Evans.
I'm Jamie Rowas.
And we are the producers and game director of a game called The Vale. It's an audio-based game made for the visually impaired community, but it also hopefully will have novelty for indie game lovers to play an action adventure without any visuals.
Yeah. The game is a heavily narrative-focused experience. Has you playing as the second in line to a throne, stranded away from home, finding their way back, and it features exploration, a lot of characters to interact with. There's real-time combat, gear, equipment,
Hunting.
You, Alex, are officially home.
My lord,
What is it?
Odedan riders from the northwest.
Wait here, Alex.
Uncle? Uncle! Who's there? Okay. Not Uncle.
What are you doing out here?
I need to get back to the capital. To my brother.
The valley home is long and winding, and conceals more than just barbarians.
Please, help me! Help me!
Stand aside.
Let's go, Alex.
I said stand aside!
No, he stays with us.
From one second born to another, it's not an easy thing being in someone's shadow.
I like the shadows.
It's a relatively small team. It's myself as the main developer, but I'm getting support from a very experienced a programmer back in Niagara. We've kind of sort of created a team where Falling Squirrel is basically me and this very small company, and then I'm partnering with other indie devs to help me work on the game. And I have a sound designer in Toronto. Jamie's been helping me with getting funding and production work, and then I have the cast is probably the most robust part of the game. It's hiring a lot of actors from Toronto.
So our primary target's the blind and low vision community, and we have worked a lot with the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, and most of our first play tests were all with that community, and I think each one we did really caused us to go back and either change a lot of things or change our philosophy.
Yeah, and starting out, what I felt good about was my background as a director, voiceover director. I knew, hey, I could get really good performances. I can do that, and I'm not an artist, so I didn't have to worry about art. So those are two good things. And I think the first thing we saw as being a novelty, aside from a sighted person playing as a blind person, I really got into the idea that this was a much more intimate experience in all aspects of gameplay. So when you're fighting, you can hear the sound of footsteps and crinkling of armor. That's what you're reacting to, not these big open areas. And when you're in a village, you're listening for details. The sound of a dog whimpering the corner, or the sound of a chicken, or these little things that will have potential interactability. And that's what I realized was pretty cool, and that would be the focus of combat exploration from that point on.
Yeah, I think the things that changed a lot is we really wanted to make a game that was a mainstream game experience for the blind low vision community, something that would have a lot of the tropes and features of adventure games and RPGs. And while we initially really wanted to do things that were really, I don't know if in-depth is the right word, but maybe lots of options. For example, like Diablo or other dungeon crawlers have you getting lots and lots of loot and having to go through whole inventories and min-max statistics. And while I think a lot of RPG gamers really like that, and we do too. We realized that for the medium that we have, we had to find a middle ground between having mechanics that were evocative of those features, but something that still worked in an all-audio game, and most importantly, contributed to that cohesive narrative experience.
Yeah, and paring it down gave us an opportunity to make things more focused. When you buy an item, that's a substantial change in the way the game plays, rather than getting a little buff on a stat. And when you interact with the blacksmith, it feels like it's a character development moment. It's you talking to them, not you running through a table.
Worth mentioning that we have included blind low vision voice actors as well in the game, so we're really trying to keep in touch with that community as much as possible, and they're super helpful.
Yeah.
We're really appreciative.
Which was cool because we really didn't want to have the actual overall product from a performance standpoint be diminished in any way. But fortunately, we found some very good actors in that community. In particular, there's a woman named Ramya Muthan, who's is a radio host, so she's got a great voice and she's very comfortable on microphone. And it turns out she can act, so she plays a major character in the game, as well as this woman, Tanya, from Pittsburgh, I believe, in the States, and she's also contributed her voice to the game, and she has some experience in game voicing. So it was really cool, and the process in which they work was totally new to me. The way they use screen readers, to speak in their ear as they're doing their voice recording. Some have a Braille printout that they read, and it was a real learning experience for us as developers. How do we accommodate people on the production team to contribute to the game? And that was, again, I've learned a lot, and I'll be prepared next time to do an even better job with that.
We would definitely are interested in releasing it on other platforms in the future. We're very interested in finding some way to have either a VR or head tracking involved in the post-release of the game. Nothing officially there yet, but we would definitely like to have a game using what we have called the world's most expensive blindfold. Speaking of learning, I'm not sure if we went over it or not, but online on audiogames.net, that's the major forum for the audio game community, they've been immeasurably helpful in giving a lot of really positive, constructive feedback for the game, whether it's with regards to helping us make sure that we don't write from too privileged of a standpoint or have things that are considered bad tropes with blind characters, or making sure that we don't fall into some of the pitfalls that other audio games have had. Everybody is really wants us to succeed and is really helpful in giving us advice that I don't really think would have known about otherwise.
Blind characters don't touch people's faces to recognize what they look like.
Yeah.
I'll throw that out there with confidence. Don't ever do that.